Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the MTG Goldfish Podcast, episode 152, your weekly podcast covering everything Magic the Gathering related. You can find us on Google Play, iTunes, mtggoldfish.com, and YouTube. Joining us, as always, the crew, Richard, the owner of MTG Goldfish. What's up, Richard?
Hey, guys, what's going on?
What is up? Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, our resident jank brewer and all-around content creator. Seth, how are you?
Doing well, guys. How are you?
Doing okay. Chaz, joining as always, all-around content creator for Magic, but really focusing on the financial aspect of the game. Crazy weekend. We had some snow games. We had some awesome spoilers to talk about that happened after the podcast. So we're going to talk about them. Really fun. We got to see some promos, and we got to see the Rivals of Ixalan Planeswalker deck. The Planeswalkers themselves and some of the cards. And that was spoiled or previewed on Polygon, I believe. So, we have that and some fish mail to address. So let's just jump right in. Richard, walk us through the Planeswalker cards for Rivals.
Before we get to Rivals, I'll set us up for failure. Did anyone actually go to unstable release events? Because the general buzz is they were pretty awesome and people really like the set, but I personally did not get a chance to go out there.
I didn't make it, but I've heard almost all good things. It seems like people have really been having fun with this set, so that makes me happy, even though I didn't go myself.
Yeah, I've had a really busy schedule. I actually really haven't even had time to even check the pulse of anything. Thursday, hopefully the craziness will stop, but then holiday stuff is still very much going on. But yeah, I've heard really good things. I've heard that it's really fun. I've heard that all the mechanics really meshed well together, and it was kind of like one of the better drafts that formats that we've had for a while, and totally different from the other unsets. That's what I've heard. I haven't heard really really bad things about it. So.
Oh! I know what I want to complain. I'm gonna hijack this for a second. I remember what happened last week. So last week, WotC revealed that there are multiple variations of cards. So during spoiler season, we had one version of Cryptic Command, or Very Cryptic Command. Turns out there's 5 or 6 of them, and there's a bunch of these. We have multiple kill bots. There's multiple secret bases, and the big news is WotC apparently has no regards for anyone else because they all use the same collector's number. They all have the same name. So all the vendors and all the websites, we were all working together figuring out how to label these cards. And it was so ridiculous because people pre-ordered Very Cryptic Command. And, now what version do you get? Because there's 8 of them. If you ordered a complete set of Unstable, are you getting all the extra cards or not? And how do we even identify the cards? Do we call them A, B, C, D, E? Do you do the old school strip mine brackets open face strip mine tower where you kind of describe the art? Do you use the artist name? And they have the collector's number. Can they not just go, 207A, 207B, C? But they just decide that that's just a random field that has nothing to do with anything. And yeah, I was pretty peeved. I was talking to, Card Kingdom, TCG player. We're trying to figure out what to do. Eventually, WotC released an article where they said internally we call them A, B, C, D, E. And so everyone's going to do that. But as a player, do you know what version E is? No, and there's no way to identify that. So WotC, please think of the stores. Think of everyone else trying to use your cards. Have a way to actually identify them, please.
Yeah, and it wasn't just Very Cryptic Command. There was a lot of cards that had not one, but 4 different versions. I know Very Cryptic Command had 5. There was every thingamajig had at least 5.
Ineffable Blessing
had 4. Night of the Kitchen Sink had
Night of
5.
The Kitchen Sink.
So,
trust me, I went through all of them.
It was crazy.
I added them all to the site, but man, I love alternate art, but not like this WotC. Give them distinct collector's numbers, please.
They weren't even all different art.
Yeah, that's the big problem is they're all different cards. They just have the same name. So if it was just the art, it would be probably less of an issue, but there's like some versions of Very Cryptic Command are way better than other versions. So it really matters that you're able to get the version you want if you're going to be playing with it.
And that's probably why, folks, that the silver bordered cards will never be legal anywhere.
The other unstable thing I wanted to mention real quick is the lands were a little bit problematic if you're trying to play without sleeves. I know Rich Shea, Doctor of Passwords, Rich Shea, wrote an article about it and posted a picture of it. And if you just have a handful of the lands from Unstable, you can tell what color they are from looking at the side of your deck, basically. You can see the red, the blue, the black, the white. So it'll be interesting. And then one of the judges weighed in and said, even some sleeves won't be good enough. You got to make sure you have long sleeves that cover the top of the card all the way, or else you can still potentially see the color of the land, and that would make your deck illegal.
Wow. Yeah, and in terms of card stock, like I from what I've heard, overall it was better, but there were still some issues. I know we've been trying to like document that for the last few sets, but from what my understanding is that it's getting better, but it still has its issues. And speaking of the land, Seth, there was also something else that the bottom. I know it might not be a huge deal for a lot of folks, but it is kind of a little awkward that the bottom border is like asymmetrical. I don't know if it's just the lands or the entire set, but you know that like little border on the bottom, like where
one side is like higher than the other.
Yeah, it's asymmetrical. So I don't know what that's all about.
Yeah, you don't really notice it until you see the lands set next
up against
to each other,
right?
And then you're like, oh wow, this doesn't line up, which is funny. I don't know. That seems strange to me. Like, just why wouldn't it line up? I don't know what the upside is of making it asymmetrical there. Maybe it's just like unstable and it's on flavor. Like, haha, even our design is unstable.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard sell, but sure. Like, at least keep the border the same. But yeah, so
what do you guys think of Urza? We got our peek at Urza, and he basically has like every Planeswalker ability ever.
Yeah, it's basically roll a die and get a random Planeswalker ability, which I don't know. For Urza, that seems, just for me, and I don't even know a lot about the story, but from my understanding, Urza is like one of the most powerful characters in the game. To not have like its own abilities and just like a random roulette of other Planeswalker abilities just kind of seems like a cop-out.
I do like that there's 20 for each ability, so
Sure.
I think the proxy guy actually printed up like some tokens where you could play Urza offline because you just have one of each ability, you roll a 20-sided die and get an ability. So I feel a little better about it knowing that it seems like it was implemented in a way where with a bit of extra work, you can play Urza without an internet connection, or you can play it 5 years from now once Wizard stops supporting the website.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Chaz. It was a cop-out. They had a chance to make an unset Planeswalker, and then we get this, and I don't like it. It's Hearthstone, man. It should have done something crazy and cool in the spirit of unsets, but it just does normal abilities. That's just random. So I don't like it at all, and I'm not hyped for this Urza card, and I'm kind of bummed they use Urza's name here. They're kind of diluting the most powerful Planeswalker ever with this. So boo. Leave Urza out of this if you're not going to give him a good card.
Yeah, actually, before we even get into the I totally forgot, so it's good that you we got derailed by this. So I just wanted to make a quick note here that we discussed that the podcast will also be taking a 2-week hiatus for the holidays. Just taking the time to have a break, spend time with family. We hope you all do the same. We hope you all have the time to do that. But yeah, so the podcast will be back the week of the 1st, but we might not actually cast on the 1st, so we're still working out that time. But so for the next 2 weeks, we will be taking a hiatus. And and yeah, just for the holiday season. So yeah, before I forgot to even announce that. But all things aside for Unstable, I think overall it was fun. I think people enjoyed it. There were some issues like we addressed, and hopefully the card stock is getting better, and hopefully those weird little hiccups in terms of the border on the cards doesn't continue. And sorry for you guys to have to deal with the multiple printings of some of these cards. I mean, it's kind of nuts. All right, actual cards that are real. Let's talk about the Rivals of Ixalan cards from the Planeswalker deck, and then we were also shown some promos.
In WotC fashion, just before the release of Unstable, it's the best time to drop spoilers for the new set. So, Rivals of Ixalan releases next year. We got all of the Planeswalker deck cards. So these are the decks for beginners that are legal and standard, but they're not actually openable in booster packs. They just come in the Planeswalker decks. And we'll start off with Vraska, Scheming Gorgon, 4 black, legendary Planeswalker Vraska, 5 starting loyalty, +2, creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn, -3, destroy target creature, -10, until end of turn, creatures you control gain death touch, and whenever this creature deals damage to an opponent, that player loses the game.
This might be one of the worst Planeswalker deck Planeswalkers, I'm pretty sure.
What?
Like, I'm pretty forgiving of Planeswalker deck Planeswalkers, and this one seems really bad to me.
This is the best one.
That does so little.
But it may be bad. Like, I can see the argument there, but this feels more like Vraska than the one in Ixalan.
Does it?
Like, Vraska's all about, like, killing creatures and killing opponents, and, with it's a Gorgon. She's a Gorgon. Like, yeah, well, Vraska's a Gorgon.
Doesn't
it's all about the
Ixalan
death
one do
stare,
that,
and
it kills
not about making
creatures,
two
it puts opponents
pirates
to
with
one.
menace. Like, what is that all about?
Alright, here's the situation. Yeah. Imagine I'm playing... I don't know. What are those... Thallid. I'm playing Thallid Tribal, okay, in EDH. I got a doubling season. I slam a Vraska, -10 her, and just Alpha Strike everyone. And if anything hits you, you're dead.
One thing I've learned about Planeswalker, if you...
It's actually useful in Commander. It's good.
I used to like this argument, but I've come to realize that if you have to say, if I have a doubling season out before you explain why the Planeswalker is good, I just immediately tune out your argument. Because that's true of literally every Planeswalker ever printed in Magic.
Ask Jace Cutting Castaway.
No, but I think I'd actually still have Jace Cunning Castaway.
I like this card. I mean, it's obviously garbage for standard, okay? It's not meant for standard, but it actually has applications outside of standard. And
I think it's fine.
It's a very Vraska ability, right? Like, everyone remembers the original Vraska with the assassins and everything, and I like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's very Vraska.
Yeah,
it is a good callback.
Vraska's a Gorgon. Like, this actually has abilities that relate to the character. That not like the 6-mana one in Ixalan made no sense.
I thought those abilities related. It's still like put an opponent to 1. It blew up a creature. I think it's still.
I guess I don't know. I mean,
I
guess
think
she's
the
like a pirate
thing you're getting stuck on.
Okay,
Vraska's a pirate
we're all
captain
passing
now, so
for standard, right? Seth's not going to say this can work in standard somehow, or.
No, I'm saving that for the other Planeswalker deck Planeswalker we're about to talk about.
All right. Coming in with the most original name ever, we got Angrath, Minotaur Pirate. 4 black-red, legendary Planeswalker, Angrath, 5 starting loyalty. +2, Angrath deals 1 damage to target opponent and each creature that player controls. -3, return target pirate card from your graveyard to the battlefield. -11, destroy all creatures target opponent controls. Angrath deals damage to that player equal to their total power.
If one of these Planeswalkers could be standard playable, I think it's Angrath. Just because the +1, imagine, like, this is a long shot, admittedly. Imagine a world where energy gets banned, and all of a sudden the token decks are the best deck in Standard. Playing this and just +2ing it every turn, I don't know how the token decks ever beat that. Ever. It's so good against certain archetypes. So if we get like a Lingering Souls in Standard, if the Anointed Procession, Hidden Stockpile decks become really powerful, I could actually imagine playing Angrath in some sort of like Grixis mid-range with some Hostage Takers to reanimate, and having it be really good in those matchups.
I agree. And I know, like, this, it's kind of crazy how one Planeswalker could be on one end of the spectrum, and Angrath is pretty close to being a legitimate Planeswalker card for Standard. I mean, I don't even think you need to wait for energy to be banned, right? Like, and that's a debate in and of itself, but let's just say for argument, like, everything remains the same. I mean, I think tokens are enough that you could... It's enough of a reason to play this like as a 1 or a 2 of it in your sideboard if your meta is kind of riddled with token decks. Because I agree, Seth. If that comes online as a +2, I really don't know how the deck stops that.
You guys are crazy. So 6-mana Planeswalker. It has to be a pirate deck, so you can actually use its -3. There's no way this will see Standard.
No, it doesn't have to be a pirate deck. You just throw Hostage Taker in there, and you're fine.
Or you play Arcane Adaptation, so you can reanimate anything.
If we go from a world of energy to a world where Angrath Minotaur Pirate is suddenly top tier tech, I'm gonna be very scared.
Hey.
I don't think it's playable now. I will say that. I think tokens have declined, at least from what I've seen, so I don't feel like the metagame right now I would play this in the sideboard, but it doesn't take that many steps for me to see a metagame where this was playable.
So is this the most playable Planeswalker deck, Planeswalker we've seen so far?
No, I think it's the...
Nissa?
What's that, the Ixalan one? The Jace...
It might be the 6-mana Jace, just because people have actually played that.
Yeah. They, like, legitimately played that card.
Alright, well, we'll move on to the 2 rares. We'll skip the other cards, in case you're wondering how to tutor these up. We got Vraska's Scorn, 2 black, sorcery. Target opponent loses 4 life. You may search your library and or graveyard for a card named Vraska's Scheming Gorgon. Reveal it, put it in your hand. If you search your library, shuffle. 4 mana... lose 4 life, tutor Vraska.
Gosh.
Vraska got the worst end of every single aspect of these Planeswalker decks.
I know we're going to talk about the other one here in a second, but both of these are bad.
All right.
These have to be the worst tutors.
Angrath.
I think Angrath's one is good.
3 black, sorcery, destroy target creature. Angrath's Fury deals 3 damage to target player. Tutor up Angrath from your library or graveyard. That's like
Angrath's Fury is
usable.
like Unlicensed Disintegration that costs 2 more mana, which obviously, but you get a Planeswalker, you get to draw a card, and that card is Angrath.
It's only 1 more. It's only 1 more.
No, it's
2 more than
total.
Unlicensed Disintegration.
It's 5 total.
Oh, Unlicensed Disintegration. Right.
Yeah.
You don't need an artifact, but it's sorcery, and you get to tutor Angrath for some reason. It's not bad. I think this is way better than Vraska's Scorn.
Oh, it's way better than Vraska's Scorn, but I feel like these two were pretty weak in terms of the tutor cards, but I can't remember all the the Hour of Devastation ones I felt like were pretty good. I can't remember some of the other ones off the top of my head, but it feels like these might be the worst.
I actually think Angrath's Fury is... I mean, it's not playable. It's 5 mana removal, which isn't something standard decks are screaming for, but it doesn't seem that bad. Like, it still kills anything and does damage. The downside is it means you actually have to be playing Angraths in your deck to make it worthwhile.
Why wouldn't you be doing
You just
that?
play this. You don't play the Angrath. You just play this. Fail to find. It's for flavor purposes, Seth. Come on.
The only thing I like about the now this is just true of all the tutor cards in these decks, that they tutor any Planeswalker with the subtext Angrath. So I'm assuming there's going to be an Angrath version in...
No. You have to tutor the exact
That's
one.
not actually true, though. It says their specific name.
Yeah, it's Angrath Minotaur Pirate.
Oh, no. Really? I thought... Oh...
Yeah. Yeah, so you can't search up the good version.
Yeah.
You gotta search
Oh,
up the
I'm thinking of I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the the creature that gets like buffed.
Yeah, the creatures, the non-tutor cards refer to any Angrath or any Vraska.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, that's what I meant. Which I actually still think like Vraska's Conquistador is not that bad.
Yeah, I mean, if you have lots of Vraskas,
although
it's not the
I don't know
worst.
why it's a vampire soldier, not a pirate. Wait, see, this is I don't get it.
We're getting to
really
the ally
don't.
problem. Is it an ally?
Yeah,
is it a
I don't
soldier?
understand. Like,
is it a warrior?
So wait a minute. So Vraska makes pirates. Then wait, so you want to at least be playing pirates? Then Vraska's Conquistador is not a pirate? Like,
I think Vraska somehow left the pirating life because she's facing off against Angrath, who's very clearly a Minotaur pirate. So
we're gonna have to.
I think something happens in Rivals where she's like, "Kidding, guys, I'm not a pirate. I'm actually just Vraska."
We're gonna have
surprise.
We're gonna have to throw our hats into the new next Planeswalker 3 or whatever that thing's called. We're gonna have to throw our hats in there because this is.
That's how we win the Great Designer Search.
Whatever that thing is called. What is it? What's the
Great Designer Search?
The Great Designer. We're gonna have to throw our hats into that because I can't be having this ally problem anymore. One's a vampire soldier, one's a pirate. Vraska makes pirates, but then you need this that I don't know anymore.
I'm surprised there wasn't an unset card where it's like an ally warrior soldier pirate dinosaur.
I mean, like Vraska Conquistador is actually not that bad. It's not a bad card if you have a Vraska.
Yeah, I mean. It's better than Vampire Champion.
Yeah,
or Swap Goblin.
I still think Jace, the one with Jace, is the best one so far. The buddy card.
It might be.
That one's just a straight up like 2 mana, like 2/3 or something. 3/4.
It's what a 2/3 unblockable if you have a Jace. I think
that's like really good. I'm still surprised that has not seen play with the 3 mana Jace, but.
All right, moving on to cards that could actually be standard playable. We got the Rivals of Ixalan promos today, and the booster art, and the all the sealed products packaging. So to no one's surprise, we have Evolving Wilds. It's come back for the 18th billionth time. New art, right? This is new art.
Yeah.
I don't remember what all the Evolving Wilds look like.
It's a card that should just always be in standard.
Yeah. Next, we have Captain's Hook. So, it's an artifact equipment, 3 generic mana, equipped creature gets +2/+0, has menace, and is a pirate in addition to its other types. Whenever Captain's Hook becomes unattached from a permanent, destroy that permanent, equip 1.
So, this card is funny because it was spoiled. Like, half the card was spoiled without the mana cost, and when I saw it, based on the abilities and equip cost, I said that if it was 1 or 2 mana, I thought it could be constructed playable. But now that we know it's 3 mana, I think it's just a little too expensive for what it does. Like, I wanted it to be kind of like a pirate bone splinter, but at 3 mana casting cost, it's even more expensive than, like, Darksteel Axe, so I think it's just not good enough, especially with the downside that if your opponent kills Captain's Hook with a whatever artifact removal spell, which does see play in standard, you also lose your creatures. So I think it needed to be 2 mana or less to really be playable.
Yeah, and even then, it might not even be playable.
But I think it's like a fun casual card. Like if you're trying to build Pirate Tribal, this gives you an equipment. Pirates do need more support, I think, if you're going to be able to build commander decks and stuff. So I'm like fine with it existing, especially since Wizards hasn't printed new good equipment since like New Phyrexia, so I'm not expecting much. But I don't know. I don't think there's any way it's standard playable.
I'm fine with a lot of cards existing. I'm just not going to acknowledge that they're good.
Yeah, I think its only role is to be in my Peter Pan deck, I think. Because
I don't even.
It costs 4
why would
mana
you
to
even
give
want it in that deck?
it gives menace.
But menace. It gives it menace.
I think the point is it makes it a pirate, but are you really gonna, if you're that reliant on pirate synergies, are you gonna risk running non-pirates? Like, I don't know, it just doesn't seem worth it. I wish it did something else for pirates, like maybe gave all pirates +1/+1 or something like that, but it just makes you a pirate, and chances are, if that's relevant, all your creatures are already pirates, so...
So does having a hook for a hand just automatically make you a pirate? Is that what this card is saying? Can you have a hook hand and not be a pirate?
Yeah, but the other question
with, like,
is...
a snake thing on it, you know, like...
but
you have to be menacing.
But when you get the hook hand removed, why do you instantly die?
Because you're gonna bleed to death, Chaz. They cut off your hand to put the hook there, and then when they take the hook off, you no longer have a hand. You're gonna die from blood loss.
I just don't think +2/+0 and menace is enough for me to want my creature to die if they braid this. For
and that's such a random downside. Like, was that necessary? Like, did you really need to kill the creature?
Like, I get it for the other cards, like the ogre, like some of the battle axes that give it like +4/+0 or something, or some crazy ability, but this doesn't seem like enough to warrant it dying for this.
I do like that it will help me build my eventual Arrested Development commander deck, which is one of my long-term commander goals. So it's a essential piece to that.
Okay.
All right, last card.
All right.
We have Brass's Bounty, 6 in a red, sorcery. For each land you control, create a colorless treasure artifact token. With tap, sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool.
I actually like this card. I actually think this can be pretty strong in the right scenarios. Now, it's definitely a build-around card. I don't think you just play Brass's Bounty just straight up. But it does do some pretty crazy stuff with cards like Marionette Master, or we were talking about pre-show. What was the other card? It was like the enchantment.
Revel in Riches.
Revel in Riches. Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, when I first saw this card, I was kind of meh on it. It felt like the red version of Boundless Realms, I think the card is, that sees commander play. It's like 7 mana and gets you a land for each land you have. But when I thought about Anointed Processions, Marionette Masters, Primal Amulet to double it up, there are ways that if you can get up to 7 lands, that this can just like double your mana until forever, basically, because they're treasures, so you don't actually have to use it that turn, or you can kind of like storm off with it, use the new Tolarian Academy land, which this will help flip. So I'm excited for like some janky against the odds stuff with it. As far as it being like a tier card, though, 7 mana is a lot. It's hard for me to imagine your opponent's playing Temur Energy and you're like, haha, my 7 mana sorcery that gives me treasures is going to solve this.
But you could also play this with the Tezzeret. It's like almost like a kill card.
What is
it?
What,
I mean, it seems like a combo piece. You can combo with Tezzeret. You can combo with, I don't know, Mechanized Production. You can combo with that EDH Dragon that I can't remember the name of that we always talk about. So to me, it seems like an EDH combo card where I'm just going to make a ton of tokens and abuse that somehow. Throw in Doubling Season, you can go nuts.
Yeah.
But I don't know of any fair way to use this. I guess the fairest way would be Marionette Master, if you want to count that as fair. Or, you know, like the Tezzeret draining ability or stuff like that. So I think this card is pretty interesting. I don't know about Standard, but I'm pretty sure we'll see this in Commander and other formats.
Yeah. I don't think ever in my life I thought I would be talking about that Gatecrash Dragon as much as we did.
What is it called?
I don't even, something Tyrant. I can't even remember.
I call it like the Hobbit Dragon. The one that just hoards all the artifacts.
I don't remember the name of it either.
Hellkite Tyrant?
Hellkite Tyrant, that's right. That's the one.
Is that it? It's a mythic. Oh my.
It's so good. It's so good.
That's Trample. It's pretty sweet.
Alright, so those are all of the cards we got. The actual spoilers will start, I think, in the new year, or if Wizards is feeling generous, maybe around Christmas time. But the set doesn't actually drop until January 19th.
Yeah. So we'll address those when we come back from our little hiatus / vacation there. But yeah, some pretty cool drops there. Interesting cards. I'm really kind of Angrath has me. That's an interesting card design there. I hope the actual version of the card in the set is pretty sweet, because it does look like there's a version in there, because it looks like there's a pack art with Angrath on it. So
yeah, that's mostly what I'm excited about, because I feel like this Angrath is like good for a Planeswalker deck Planeswalker, and the Angrath from the sets almost has to be better than the Planeswalker deck one, so maybe it'll be really good. So I'm kind of excited to see what the pack version looks like of Angrath.
I'm hopeful, but I'm expecting the like Ajani thing going on. Where you don't know like which one is even good, and they're undistinguishable.
But now you can have them both on the battlefield at once, so
you definitely can. All right. Now that we talked about some sweet Rivals of Ixalan cards, let's talk about some fish mail.
All right. If you have questions, send them to the hashtag MDGFishmail on Twitter, and we'll get to your questions. So, first question, Mumu Marley. I just learned that slow fetch lands exist. How good/bad are they? Should they be reprinted in Standard? What are slow fetch lands? They come into play tapped? Is that what they are?
Yeah. No.
They were from, Mirage, weren't they?
They were from Mirage. Do they come into play tapped, or do they search up the land tapped? Okay. They're fine as like budget commander cards. As far as Standard, I don't think they're very good, because you still have all the shuffling and slowness issues, but you're not reprinting expensive cards and like getting that benefit out of it. So I feel like they would be bad for Standard, but I wouldn't mind having them like reprinted somewhere, like in a supplemental product or something.
Yep.
All right, next question. Nate Muzi. Customer uncard. Basic land type basic. Take a selfie with this card and post to social media. Basic lands, tap for X colorless mana, where X equal a number of likes your selfie received. Flavor text blessed. Or hashtag blessed. Slightly unbalanced, depending on your social media presence. I'd like to see the professor play this. Thank you. I'll tap this for 500 mana.
Yeah, that it kind of cares about a weird thing, your popularity on social media. So it's a cool idea, I guess.
Yeah.
It seems like it slows down the game a lot, because how long do you wait before tapping your lands to see how many likes you get?
It's like, hold on, I need to take a bathroom break. I'm not stalling. Just wait a second. let people share. I
just need 3 more likes to cast my playsteel.
All right, next question. MTG Analytics. Open Boosters made a video the other day suggesting that a couple cards from each new set be put on the reserve list. What do you think about the strategy for increasing the value for new players? This way, new players can have valuable cards too.
All right, let me rant on this really quickly. Okay. So, here's what happens if you put new cards on the reserve list. It doesn't help new players. It doesn't help anyone except speculators. That's the one person that helps. That's why you hear speculators, some small number of speculators suggest this. It just gives them a free target to buy out and to do the same stuff we see going on with the reserve list going on. So I don't see how this actually helps anyone except really enfranchised finance people who are involved in like the speculation buyout aspect of finance. That's my take, and I feel really strongly about that, but that is a horrible idea.
I'm in the camp that it's like a very multifaceted thing. The thing with me, ultimately, to keep a long story short, I don't think we should be adding cards to the reserve list. I actually don't even think the reserve list should exist at all. Mostly because I think the game would be better overall if we could reprint cards like the dual lands. I think it would be a huge boon to commander players and everyone else that would like to play these cards in their commander deck but don't want to spend, $350 for a single Underground Sea or something like that. So ultimately I think it would be better, but at the point it is what it is. I just don't think it should be expanded at this point. And plus, there is some credence to the quality of the card on the reserve list. Like, random cards on the reserve list, while, there was this craziness going on a while back that, all these random cards were getting bought out. The card still has to be somewhat playable and somewhat desirable, for someone to pay X amount of money on that card. If you threw, like, Angrath Minotaur Pirate on there, like, I don't really know what that does for the card.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with Seth. I don't like the original reserve list to begin with. That's my personal opinion. And I don't see how this helps new players. Like, can you imagine the mythics that cost $30 to $50 today, what their price would be if there was a reserve list and people knew they couldn't reprint them? They would be bought out, and you'd be talking about like $200 for like a single card. So I don't see how that helps new players, and I don't even like the original reserve list. So I don't know. I don't really like this idea. Next question from Time Elemental, based on a tongue-in-cheek tweet the other day from Seth saying he'd enter the Great Designer Search 3. Do any of you aspire to join Wizards R&D?
What did I call it?
Great Planeswalker.
Oh my goodness!
The world's next great Planeswalker or something like that.
That sounds more like a reality show, though. No?
Yeah, I kind of want to see that now. I want a Planeswalker reality show.
Oh my goodness, that is. I do think we should throw our hats in there because some of the stuff that goes on, like even the tiniest thing, like making Vraska's Conquistador not a pirate. I don't know.
But would you actually join R&D if R&D said, "Hey, Chaz, we're gonna offer you a job"?
Not for an unpaid internship. I'll tell you that much. Not for another unpaid internship. I'm not going out there for an internship. I'm past that.
I don't think I would like it, actually. I mean, I think I would miss doing what I do now. I think I have more fun building decks and interacting with the community. So I don't think I would enjoy being at R&D, being NDA'd, so I couldn't talk about things, couldn't do streams. So I think that if I had to choose between doing what I'm doing now and going to R&D, I would choose doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to join WotC and then work on things like 2 years in the future and you can't talk about it and you're always all confused because you're working on alternate timelines and it just seems like a lot of work. And it is work. Just because it's Magic cards doesn't suddenly make it fun. You're still going to work. So I don't know. I don't know that I would take it. But I do wish that they would take our input for design stuff with allies and warriors and stuff like that. That's your one contribution. We'll go there, work for 2 months, quit. And 2 years from now, we'll finally be able to identify what these cards do and what they are.
Yes. Has to be paid, though. Can't be doing this on internship. Can't stress that enough.
Actually, just so it's clear, I'm pretty sure that it's a paid internship. I don't know what that means or how much money it is, but if you win the Great Design Search, I'm almost 100% sure it's a paid 6-month internship.
Did they say paid internship? Because if they did, then I apologize, because I didn't really read. That didn't jump out at me. All I saw was internship.
No idea.
I could be wrong, though. If I'm wrong, that's fine. But
I think it's actually, like, Wizards' normal hiring process from everyone that I've talked to and know is they normally hire people for, like, a 6-month contract and then decide after 6 months whether they want to, like, keep them for another contract or... So I think that's the internship part. Basically, you're getting a 6-month contract with Wizards, and then what happens after the 6 month would depend on how that 6 months went. But it is paid.
I'm just going to double check while you guys are reading. Crowned and awarded a 6-month internship position.
Does it say?
I don't know. It doesn't say paid.
Depends how much they like you.
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know.
Next question. DTX Stardust. Hope for a new set after Dominaria. Nissa wakes up on Lorwyn. We get a new Lorwyn set. Nissa learns about the dark side with the Lorwyn elves and becomes a green-black planeswalker. Would this be a cool set in your opinions? It would flesh out her character.
You know what's actually... I think Nissa was originally supposed to be like a green planeswalker that meddled in, dark magic. So it's kind of going to be a green-black planeswalker just from the beginning. From what I remember of the story until they finally kind of used Nissa and fleshed out Nissa. And I think it would be great because I liked Lorwyn. I actually liked Lorwyn. I thought it was a little odd that we had this kind of super block, but I think to go back and devote maybe 1 or 2 sets to Lorwyn or Shadowmoor or whatever it is now, I think it was like changed or something.
I wouldn't want it right away because I think it would probably be another tribal set, and we kind of have that with Ixalan. But I think in the future, a return to Lorwyn could be cool. Also, though, where are we at with Garruk? Is Garruk like our black-green planeswalker now, or is Garruk dead? I'm actually not. Isn't the last versions of Garruk black-green?
Yeah, he was.
The last one was Apex Predator.
I don't know what happened to Garruk.
But is that still like a character? Can Garruk come back or something?
Because if
he's returning as our black-green
Liliana or
planeswalker.
something. I don't know what's going on with him.
Yeah, they pretty much like retcon. From my understanding, he's like gone.
He's not doing a good job of finding her because she was definitely in Shadows over Innistrad, and Garruk was not.
Yeah, maybe too many Golgari planeswalkers. I don't know.
He's sleeping, I think.
Also, Vraska, black-green planeswalker. I wouldn't mind like a black-green version of Nissa, but I don't think she should be a black-green planeswalker going forward.
Yeah.
All right, next question. The Ryan Gaines. So I just emulated PC on my Mac and finally got Moto. Should I buy my Modern deck, or did I show up late enough to see Arena kill Moto? Modern, I think you got a long ways to go, so I would just play Modern on Moto.
I will say that, MTGO is not going to be gone anytime soon. So if you love Modern and you want to play Modern a lot, then I think Moto's the best place to do that. It's going to take it's going to take some time for MTG Arena to first be released and to move along at a pace that it's going to be the premier digital platform and kind of kick MTGO to the curb.
I mean, we gotta wait for Arena to get released, then we have to wait for Arena to be successful, then we gotta wait for people to start clamoring for Modern, then we gotta wait for Wizards to actually program Modern. So I think for Modern in specific, or Legacy or Vintage, you're pretty safe buying into Moto right now.
I don't think Arena's going backwards.
So you don't think they're actually going to have
Modern, you mean?
I don't think
Frontier.
they'll ever have Modern on Arena. Yeah, it's going to be a new format for sure.
Then I think that
they heavily alluded to that because
the future is pretty safe.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw they had a couple Twitch streams, and this question came up again. And from my understanding, that Arena is not going to be going backwards. It's only going to be moving forward. So to me, that sounds like they don't want Modern on there. They kind of want we'll just use Frontier for now as a quotation mark, but a new format that MTG Arena is going to be exclusively kind of like unveiling on there. Kind of like Wild and Standard. Kind of.
I think that means Moto's going to be around for a while then, because is Modern is really popular, and if you literally can't play it on Arena, someone like me and other people that play Modern more than they play Standard are going to keep using Magic Online just because that's the only option to play their format. And the same for Vintage and Legacy. So maybe Moto would get smaller as Arena siphons off Standard players or limited players.
Yeah.
But I think it would continue to exist in some form to support those formats, because there is a dedicated player base for all those formats.
Absolutely.
And it's pretty big for Modern. Modern is really big right now.
I do think that's where the two they both end up. MTGO will be around for the eternal formats like Modern, Vintage, Legacy, etc., and Arena will be strictly for Standard, Limited, and this what I'm assuming is a new format.
Yeah, I think if Arena doesn't crash and burn, regardless of what WotC says today, Modern and Legacy, Modern for sure, unless they kill Modern in paper, will eventually be ported to Arena. But that's so far in the future, it's not even worth talking about. So for actually playing Modern, I would buy into Moto, no hesitation. We're still far enough. Even Standard, I would still be buying into Moto right now. We're still a ways off and you can cash out later if you feel like it. So the only thing is, if you don't want to play online at all, then don't do anything. But if you want to play online, like, I wouldn't be worried about buying into Mono at this point.
It's still gonna be a while. And I think the way they want to do that is to release Arena with enough of a buffer. Like, they don't want to just release Arena with just Ixalan on it. Like, that doesn't... It's not going to work. So, my guess is the earliest we'll see Arena is when Almonket and Kaladesh block are gone.
Which would be next fall. Like, almost just under a year from now, probably.
That's my guess, the earliest we'll see it.
Yeah, I think that's the time frame I've heard is for like a proper release, like and being out of beta, probably a year or two. So it could be this coming rotation in the fall, or probably longest would be the rotation after that.
Yeah.
Or it could be like PUBG and just release in beta and people play it and
stay in beta forever.
Be in beta for the rest of its life. All right, next question.
Hearthstone was like that for a while.
The one Okazaki, I really like the in-play cycling mechanic from Urza's Destiny, but it was never revisited. What's your favorite underexplored mechanic from a past set/block?
In-play
cycling. What is in-play cycling?
I think like Yavmaya Elder, where it's like pay 2, sack it, draw a card, and something happens. So basically you're cycling with a permanent on the battlefield.
I mean, I love Yavmaya Elder. The card's amazing, but... I don't know if they actually turned that into a mechanic, though.
It wasn't like a keyworded mechanic.
Yeah.
But it was basically cycling.
I do think
similar.
It should come back at least once, at some point, if it hasn't already. But I don't know if they ever turned that into an actual keyword mechanic.
What's your favorite mechanic/gameplay thing that you want back? For me, I think ninjutsu. Ninjutsu.
Oh, ninjutsu is sweet,
and
I like ninjutsu a lot.
It feels so ninja-like. Like, it's one of the few mechanics that actually feels like it represents the word that they use. So I actually really like ninjutsu, and I hope they bring it back. And then it actually makes existing ninjutsu cards better too. So I really like that.
Yeah, ninjutsu was actually a really great mechanic. Like, I agree with you, Richard. It felt like this is a great mechanic for this tribe. Like, it works so well.
Better than Menace.
This is actually hard. I'm actually not sure what mechanic I'd want to bring back. I'm going to say Epic. That's probably a horrible choice.
That's pretty cool, too.
All Kamigawa mechanics. What
it
do
was
you know?
super unique.
It's really unique.
Listen, everyone wants to trash on Kamigawa, but everyone secretly in their hearts wants to go back to Kamigawa and have a second Kamigawa. Kamigawa got a bad rap for no reason.
There was a reason.
What? Well, yeah, I mean, but it ruined everything, so...
All right. No more Kamigawa talk. We're not going there. Fiddler the Drum. How did Seth gloss over the SCG Invitational without breaking down Modern on the podcast? And which is more broken, Whir, Lantern, or Storm?
Still Storm. I don't think Lantern is a broken deck. It's probably an annoying deck for most people, but I don't think it's really broken. It's just obnoxious. Storm is a deck that it's pretty scary now. The newest versions of Storm, I'm surprised how often I lose on turn 3 to those decks. I'm usually like, oh yeah, it's going to take them a little time. They got a Gifts Ungiven, and then they're just like, play a Brawl, Ritual, Past in Flames, you're dead. And I'm like,
All right, next question. Eldros, Kandar, I made a lot of cards available to buy as singles. How often should I check my prices are in line with the market? So I'm assuming they're selling on some marketplace.
So if you're selling like on eBay or something where you just set prices and have to do it all yourself, I guess for most cards, I would assume like weekly would be fine, maybe even less than that. But if it's like hot standard cards or hot modern cards where you're concerned about price changes, you probably want to do it more often.
I'd say at least 24 hours you want to check. Now, if you have a huge inventory, doing that by yourself is pretty tough. So on that, I would stick to what Seth said, just the kind of the hot commodities.
Because, I mean, stuff like your playset of Dark Rituals that you're selling for $3 or something, like, odds of that doing anything crazy are pretty slim. But if you're selling standard Mythics or even, like, hot Modern cards, then you got to really be on top of it.
All right, next question. Edie Vanta, I'm slowly building a Modern deck, but still not sure which deck. Any cards I should prioritize? Should I buy fetch lands and shock lands first?
I think that's a good place to start. Usually if you have the mana base, that's like a good chunk of the battle. So yeah, I think you're on the right track there.
Yeah, I would choose your deck first, and then start with the lands for that deck. Don't just buy all the lands, because, well, there are a lot of lands. So just kind of narrow the deck you want first, and then start building that deck, as opposed to just buying generic staples across all of Modern.
I mean, none of those lands are bad to own, but Richard is right. Like, if you're just buying, like, Windswept Heaths for, like, no reason, you want to be building towards something, which it sounds like you want to be doing.
If you want to just play Modern, owning fetches and shocks is probably the single most important thing, because you can build so many decks off of those mana bases. Just keep in mind that you can actually get by with a reasonable amount of decks with using just the cons fetches and not using the more expensive version. So keep that in mind too. Even if you're playing like slightly less than optimally to play your Windswept Heath over like a Marsh Flats or something, a lot of times it's not really that big of a deal, especially when you're first building into the format.
All right. Next question. Lordy Tieman 2890. I've seen a player cast Mizzix's Mastery overloaded with both cruel and brilliant ultimatums in the graveyard and still lose. In Commander. So do any of you have stories of games where you do something crazy in the game but still lose? I'm sure it's happened. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
I can't either. I have seen someone lose with Omniscience. That's I didn't think was easy, but
yeah, we're gonna have to scour.
I can't. Yeah, I have to remember a game that I played. I haven't played in a while, so it's like kind of hard to remember.
I'm sure there's plenty of Against the Odds episodes where it's happened, but I can't think of, off the top of my head, a specific example at the moment.
All right.
That is a crazy Mizzix Mastery, though.
Next question from Streakist. Isn't WotC acknowledging the secondary market by setting MSRP at $10 on master sets while $4 on conspiracy or unsets? Shouldn't all 15 pieces of cardboard cost the same? Unsets even have foils.
Yes and no. The way I think they framed master sets is that they are not normal sets. They're like specialty sets, and I don't think it's because of the contents in the packs. It's mostly because this is a set that's first not part of their normal set release structure, even though pretty much is now. This is for they're only supposed to have gone to stores, and they were more of like a from the vault kind of thing, whereas it's not just a basic set like Ixalan. But I mean, that line has been blurred a little bit now with these cards going to Walmart and with master sets releasing all the time. That is a very good question.
I think the foil in every pack thing could also be a justification for having a higher MSRP. But I think the big thing is it has to be the cards within the pack have to be valued the same from Wizards' perspective. I think that's like the sticking point that separates Magic packs from some of the loot box controversy that's been going on in some places recently. So I think that's a bigger thing. They can't have different prices for individual cards, but I think selling an entire booster for a higher price would still be acceptable.
All right, next question. Kyleo Meters, what is the crew's MTG OTP? I love the Jace Vraska subplot in Ixalan, but Jace Vrao will always be best ship in my heart. What is OTP?
What does
I'm
this
gonna
mean?
Google this. One
What's
true
OTP?
pairing.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know what this means, but I do like the Liliana Garrick subplot that goes on. And apparently Garrick just disappeared, so we don't know what happened with that. But I like how Garrick became a black planeswalker. And he's just chasing Liliana around the multiverse. I like that story.
Yeah, I don't know.
Enough.
Yeah, that's also the only part of the Magic story that I know. Wait, I know there's something with Jason Liliana too. Once in a while I read stuff.
Yeah.
Liliana's just involved in everything.
Liliana is like the only female planeswalker apparently now, because she's the only one in like every story now. She's about to get kicked off and be replaced by someone, I think. She's had too much main story going through her.
Yeah. I kind of like the older stories of like the Weatherlight and stuff like that. I mean, the Planeswalker stories are cool, but I think it was a more interesting story when you didn't just have Planeswalkers. I like the fact that what they're doing with the Planeswalkers is kind of turning them into this kind of superhero, like MCU, DCU kind of arc, and that's all well and good. But I think we've discussed this on the podcast before, that I kind of miss the blend of, you do have the Planeswalkers, but you also have like some of the other individuals on the plane kind of storyline.
But for the record, Chaz, I hope they're not DCU but MCU. Justice League, please.
Oh,
please.
don't even get me started.
Oh, please.
That's another 50-minute podcast in and of itself.
MCU, please.
Hey, I like it all, but I get some of the criticisms. Just a very quick rant, but like, some of it is very out there. I like it all, but some of the arguments being made, it's like so very, very nitpick, and I think people they should let themselves enjoy both of the universes, but for some reason they just don't want to.
All I'm saying is some movie studios are ruining an entire franchise for generations that didn't get to read the original comics, and some studios are doing a pretty good job. I'm just going to put it at that. You can choose which side is which. All right, Hash Brown Monster.
I can't even.
If Seth...
Okay, real quick,
here.
Very quickly. How did... This is my only rant of the whole, like, MCU, DCU thing, is I don't even care about any of that, but how did Spider-Man become the only... Like, it feels like the only character that they can't get right. You have a whole entire 90s cartoon to go through where it was, like, pretty good,
it's
okay? Like,
Sony.
It was...
Because Sony owned the rights for the first 5 movies. How did Spider-Man become
the one that, like, they can't get right? There's like 7 movies, and they can't stick to a single Peter Parker. They can't stick to a single Spider-Man. They can't stick to a single enemy, like, or villain. Like, get it right.
Same with X-Men. X-Men was pretty bad because it's not Marvel. Only Marvel Studios movies are good.
I don't like or care about any superheroes.
Wow, Seth, you did not just say that.
So
that's my only gripe.
Is that about.
How did they get Spider-Man messed up?
Or Spider-Man or anything growing up?
No, not really.
What? Did you even watch Saturday morning cartoons? You monster. Seth was probably playing with Sarah Angels and Shivan Dragons instead of watching Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's just mispronouncing things.
I don't have any other problem other than that. Really, it's just like I don't know how Spider-Man became.
I'm gonna say Suicide Squad and then Justice League, and now I'm very skeptical. Batman vs Superman. I'm very skeptical of any DCU movie now. They've painted a reputation. Only Wonder Woman was really good, but that's been the exception.
I liked Man of Steel. I thought the Superman movies were fine. Wonder Woman was fantastic. Yeah. Wonder Woman was fantastic. The only other, that's like pretty much the only 2 movies. So.
Yeah, nothing else exists. I didn't see it.
They have like 4 movies. They have like 4 movies. So, they don't even have an Aquaman or a Flash movie.
They're coming.
They're
coming.
Yeah, well, when I see it, I'll comment, but...
Alright, back to Fishmail. Hash Brown Monster. If Seth is probably better known as Saffron Olive, what are Chad and Richard's probably better known as names?
Do you guys even have nicknames?
No.
I like the friendly neighborhood green mage
It's up
because
to you
I'm the
now
only one that sticks
to come up with
for
the
green
name.
cards. And probably one of the very few that think green is the best color in Magic.
What? Green is the best color in Magic.
Hey, green is definitely the best color.
Probably
by
better
far.
known as Jank Tribal. I don't know. Yeah, I think the YouTube comments can tell me what I'm probably better known as. So leave a comment on Twitter or the YouTube comments or whatever, and come up with my nickname. Next question, ZeagleZ68. With Modern Season upon us and WotC saying they won't shake up the meta, what are the odds that Lantern does good or worse wins that it gets something banned? What would that be? Faced it and lost with the Gideon emblem. Spellbomb.
I think if there was a banning, I think I would be looking towards Ancient Stirrings. I think Ancient Stirrings, for a couple reasons. It hits Tron, it hits Lantern, and Wizards already has set the precedent that they are willing to ban any good cantrips in Modern. So yeah. I think that would be the card I would look at getting banned if something was going to get banned.
All right.
I agree.
Dusty No Hey, which pro player would you like to pick their brains regarding strategies and lines of play? Mine would be Shota Yasuoka or Sean McLaren.
Those are two really good choices.
Those are good ones.
I'll go with Paulo. Beat you guys to it.
Paulo's also a really good choice. LSV is a really good choice.
I don't know. I just want to play like Jank with Connolly Woods. I don't care about the other stuff. Just like Brewers Battle. Talk about our bad decks, not our good decks.
All right. Next question. Miguel is a map. What is a cheaper but somewhat competitive Modern deck for someone who doesn't like red and is looking to get into the format?
No.
Ugh.
Mono green
Red
zombie?
is one of the best budget colors, which makes it a little more challenging. I guess I would just go with something from a Budget Magic episode, but avoid the red decks. I think the Martyr proc deck is actually a pretty decent one if you enjoy that play style and are trying to avoid red. So I might start there with mono white Martyr proc.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but isn't Storm pretty cheap?
It is. It's cheap, but it's not like, I don't know. It depends on your definition of budget. It's cheap. It's definitely cheap for a tier deck.
I mean, okay, the only reason I was bringing it up, red is still kind of a couple hundred, right? Or is this purely just budget? Because if it is, that's fine. But they were just bringing up red, and red is still kind of like a few $100.
Well, I think they just meant the color red, not like a specific red deck. Yeah, that's how I took it at least.
No problem. Sorry about that.
All right, next question.
But yeah, definitely listen to Seth on that.
Sandstorm 846. What are y'all favorite green card not named Tarmogoyf? I love Autumn Willow because she's the only good card back when I started. # Green Mages for life.
I love them all.
That's not true, Chavs. What's your favorite?
I don't really have a favorite, but one that I guess is more of an old school card because Autumn Willow is awesome is Willow Satyr. Because you just have this like bewildered like looking satyr just in the middle of nowhere, like looking completely lost. And I've always loved that card.
I think I gotta go Elvish Visionary. It's not powerful, but it draws a card. It chump blocks for a turn. Oh no, it's Satyr Wayfinder. That's like an Elvish Visionary that draws me a land and puts stuff in my graveyard.
Satyr Wayfinder is an amazing card.
I love it so much.
Such a great card.
Does Deathray Shaman count as a green card? Deathray Shaman is pretty overpowered.
Deathray Shaman's a planeswalker.
I can take Tom's favorite, Kodama's Reach. That card is so good. I also like with that in Standard.
Scavenging Ooze is Scavenging Ooze was a really good one too.
Oh, Scavenging Ooze is good too.
That's such a great card.
I like Courser of Krufix.
Ooh, another good one. All green. I'm telling you, like I will argue with this on for like 15 minutes straight, 20 minutes straight. Green is the best by far. It's always been the best.
I don't think anyone will argue with
blue
you.
Cards, but really,
even the blue mages will say green is overpowered and has the best.
Yeah,
cards.
so there you go. Just the sooner you start accepting it, the better.
What about when you're playing Force of Will, Ancestral Recall, Time
of old cards?
Seth,
where was green then?
Sucks, but of new cards, cards of standard era.
What?
That's true. I think green used to be the worst color, and now it's the best color.
Was it the worst?
Green was in the first winning Pro Tour deck.
Was that when WotC everyone made everyone play 5 colors just to make a diverse metagame?
I don't remember, but
it's like, there's a lot of blue in your deck, but you don't actually have any 4s. Like, don't worry about it.
Wasn't it the one with Trapdoor Spider?
That was right. Hey, yeah, we talked about this.
And giant green, like it was the 2. What was it? Giant Spider. Hey, all I'm saying.
That is widely held as the worst Pro Tour winning deck of all time. Not that should dampen your spirits, but...
All right. Last stretch here. Skylar H. How about a dual land that checks for color agreement with your commander and cannot be included in a deck with the original dual of same color combo? Could this be a budget option for casual players and won't be playable in Legacy or Vintage?
I don't know about the second requirement. I think a duel that checks for the color of your commander is fine for like commander decks or something, but I don't know if I like the you can't play original duel rule. That seems kind of awkward to me.
Yeah, I think some commander only dual lands would be fine. I don't think anyone would be complaining about that. From Logan Loves Racing, what is your new favorite card that was released this year and most disappointing?
Favorite card this year, I'm going to say Anointed Procession.
That's a really good one. I like Death Gorge Scavenger. That card's really awesome.
I like Hammer of Nizan.
That's a good one, too.
Ooh, I forgot about Commander decks.
That card is so broken.
Most disappointing.
It is so broken. Every time I play it, I feel like I'm winning.
Oh, what's the most
disappointing? Was Arlen Cord this
I'm going to say... Arlen Cord
well,
was not
Cord.
this year. I'm going to say Growing Rites of Itlimoc.
Really?
Growing Rites of Itlimoc was so hyped, and I have not ever seen anyone in all the games I've played of Standard or Modern ever cast Growing Rites of Itlimoc. Not one single time.
That's probably up there.
I'm going to say Jace Cunning Castaway. I know he's bad.
Oh, shots fired, Jazz. Shots
but
fired.
I expected him to see more play than this, you know.
Hey, I'll agree. I'm still just as shocked as you are.
3-mana Planeswalker, you gotta be able to do something, but nope.
There's still time. I still can't it blows my mind that like this card is seeing no play. There's still time. I think the future will be bright. It might not be now. Definitely has some time to come around and be, doing make something of itself.
All right, last question. Mike R. Wolf played Eldrazi-tron at the Grand Prix Oklahoma City this weekend without Chalice and made day 2 top 200.
Nice. Hey, congrats.
Always thought Chalice was overrated.
Congrats.
Am I crazy?
I think that Chalice is not overrated, but I feel like the metagame has shifted in a way where it's worse right now. With like control decks being back near the top of the format, Tron decks being really popular, the human deck having Ether Vial to not really care about Chalice. So I feel like the meta just isn't in a place. There's times when Chalice is insane, and then there's times when it's not very good, and I think we're in one of the not very good times right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. It definitely does not serve its purpose when the rest of the metagame is, a lot of it is Tron. So it's kind of awkward.
I remember back when Infect was the number 1 deck, in Chalice, if you play Chalice on turn 1, there were so many decks. It beat Burn, it beat Infect, it beat like half of the top tier decks in Modern at one point. But we're not there anymore.
All right, that's all our fish meal for this week. Thank you for everyone who sent them in. If you have a question, send them to the hashtag MTGFishmail on Twitter, and we'll get to your questions.
All right, gentlemen, that is going to be about time. We went a little over, but that's okay. Hopefully everyone enjoys the little bit of longer podcast, but that's going to be it for this week. I hope you all have a awesome next 2 weeks. Gentlemen, enjoy yourselves. We will still be around somewhat, but things are going to kind of be crazy. So, yeah, this is going to be the MTG Goldfish Crew signing out. Take care, everyone. See you in a few weeks.